Avoiding enemy fire, trying not to get hit, and shooting your enemies down, that's pretty normal for a normal shooter. But the Psyvariar games are not normal shooters. Imagine a game where you gracefully dance through enemy fire and get more and more powerful as thousands of bullets graze your body, knowing full well that the slightest of mistakes could and will end it all in a blink of an eye. Well, that right there is Psyvariar 2. You don't just avoid bullets in this one, you graze them, you get your ship's hitbox right up against the bullets, trying not to get hit in the center, which would spell doom. You do this and you gain buzz. The more buzz you gain, the more powerful you become. Simple, addictive, and absolutely thrilling in my opinion. It's just one of my favorite shmups of all time. Now, of course, you could play Psyvariar 2 as a regular shmup. Shoot down enemies, avoid bullets, all that stuff. You can do that. And you're going to have an alright experience. But once you learn how to properly play it, you simply cannot stop playing it the proper way, and you can't go back to playing it the regular way, because the proper way to play this one is just so addictive. So guys, in this video we are going to take a deeper look at one of the best shmups of all time, and that is Psyvariar 2. At the time of me recording this, I cannot find many reviews on YouTube of this game. In fact, I can't find any proper in-depth reviews of Psyvariar 2. So if you happen to find this video informative, if you enjoy it, and if it helped you discover a brand new game for you to play, then let me know in the comments below and like the video and share it so that we can spread the word about Psyvariar 2 to as many people as possible, because nobody seems to know about this game outside of more hardcore shoot-em-up circles. Aside from the absolutely incredible, phenomenal atmosphere and music, what really makes Psyvariar 2 interesting, in my opinion, is the rapid leveling system. The more you level up, the stronger you become, and if you level up enough in the first 5 stages, you will unlock a 6th stage and the final boss of the game, allowing you to see the true ending. Now, the true ending is just a few slideshow images of the characters, but it's still something that I was not unfortunately able to achieve for this review. Now, in order to level up, you have to gain experience, which in this game is called buzz. So let's break down that buzz system I already mentioned. Every successful bullet or enemy graze contributes to your neutrino gauge, or we're just gonna call it the experience gauge. Fill it up and you level up. Now, if you're not afraid of taking risks and grazing bullets, you will be leveling practically all the time. After all, you have to be at least over, I think, level 320 or 350 to unlock that final boss battle and see the true ending. With each level up, a burst of energy surrounds your ship, or in this case your mech. When this happens, you are invincible to bullets and can deliver deadly melee blows to enemies by bumping into them. The moment you learn how to do this is the moment you will stop playing Psyvariar as a normal shmup. You're going to be addicted to this system and you will never look back. This burst of energy is very short, and the moment it disappears, if a bullet hits you the wrong way or an enemy hits you the wrong way, meaning it hits the center of your ship where your hit point is, you are toast, and that's it. You lose a life. Now, leveling up serves another very important purpose in Psyvariar 2. It determines the route you will be taking throughout the stages. Now, unlike the first game where your ship's level determined the choice of upcoming stages, here in Psyvariar 2, the player's level affects the difficulty of each stage. This difficulty is separate from the game's base difficulty that you can set in the options menu, meaning that you could be playing the game on easy mode and you're still going to get variants of each stage depending on your level. You're going to get easy variants, normal and hard variants. Now, this is very important. you want to keep your level as high as possible to almost consistently maintain that hard variant of each stage, because these hard variants give you more opportunities to level up, which in turn will lead you to the true final boss. Unfortunately, as I said, I was not able to do that for this video review, because even though this is one of my favorite shmups and I've been playing it for decades, I'm just not all that good at the game. The color of your experience gauge is a very important strategic indicator as well. The closer the color is to red, the less experience you gain, and the closer it is to blue, you gain more experience from buzzing. The default color is usually green, so you gain a substantial amount of experience when buzzing normal enemies and murats, but it turns to red when you're facing stronger enemies such as bosses. This adds a layer of strategy to the fast-paced and seemingly frantic nature of the game. It tells you when to risk grazing bullets and when it's time to consider pulling back and avoiding them, as grazing may not earn you as much buzz. I want you to understand this. Do not be put off by all these systems and gameplay mechanics I mentioned so far. Nothing is stopping you from enjoying the game as a traditional shoot 'em up. In fact, that's how I myself played it for years until I decided to give the proper way a try and got addicted. Psyvariar 2 is a very short game, so it's perfect for playing, replaying, and experimentation. When you die, you respawn where you died. After respawning, you are given a very brief period of complete invincibility to gather your bearings and get yourself out of tight spots. But you have to keep in mind, this invincibility is very different from that of the level up burst. Here you cannot graze bullets, so each death, specifically if you die during big bullet waves, is a wasted opportunity for buzzing and leveling up. Now, if you happen to lose all your lives, you are taken to a continue screen, and if you are playing for high score, this is where your game ends, since continuing will reset your score to 0. But if you're playing for the adventure like I do, then you have nothing to worry about. Continuing the game will set you back to the very beginning of the stage you lost all your lives on. It will reset your number of lives and bombs, or rather special attacks, and reset your level to what it was at the beginning of that particular stage. So just don't shy away from using continues. That's how you're going to get to know the stages best. You're going to learn how the enemies work, how they move. You're going to learn their bullet patterns. And once you've mastered all that, and if you want to, you can then play for high scores. Until then, just enjoy playing and replaying these stages. Psyvariar 2 is a very beautiful, very graceful, downright elegant game. It won't take long for you to start gracefully, elegantly weaving and rolling through the waves of enemies and beautiful bullet patterns, and to me that's what matters, not high scores. It's a truly incredible feeling. It's like you become one with the game, the music, the visuals, everything just comes together so perfectly in this game. It's just so enchanting, so entrancing. I just mentioned rolling, so let me explain. This is a very important mechanic in Psyvariar 2. When the player spins or rolls, their shots become more focused, making it easier to defeat enemies with more health. Spinning also helps with grazing and increases the player's movement speed when they level up, as long as they're rolling, of course. And this right here is where the Dreamcast and Naomi arcade versions differ from that on the PS2. In order to roll, the player has to quickly alternate between right and left on the joystick or D-pad until the ship, or mech in this case, starts spinning. This can be done on the PS2 as well, but the PS2 version adds a dedicated roll button. The roll button makes the game easier to control, makes it easier to spin in place, and in my opinion, that's the best way to play Psyvariar 2. However, as things always are, some hardcore fans on the internet back in the day used to complain that this makes the game too easy and weren't particularly happy with these additions to the PS2 version of the game. I personally find the PS2 version to be the absolute best because of this roll button, and that's why I bought that one over the Dreamcast one, even though my introduction to Psyvariar was the Dreamcast. And the Dreamcast version actually has much faster loading times, which unfortunately is a problem on the PS2 version. Since the loading times are so long, they kind of break up the pacing of the game because we don't want any stops and slowdowns in our shmups in general. One other issue I have with the PS2 version is that it does come with some kind of DVD. I couldn't get that to work on any of my PS2s. I think it's just some replays of how to play the game and so on, and that is a DVD. However, because the game is so small, it comes on a CD, and we all know that CDs just aren't the best way to preserve your games. They are even more prone to disc rot and damage than DVDs, and in my opinion this was just a very bad missed opportunity. The game should have been on a DVD, if only for preservation purposes, and it probably would have been loading faster too. Psyvariar 2 is all about freedom of choice and the player's approach to tackling its challenges. This is especially evident in the difference between the two very distinct playable characters you can choose at the start of the game. That is Kei and Yuhe. Kei, the girl, gains experience from both grazing and defeating enemies. She has a more traditional screen-clearing special attack which destroys all enemies on screen. Yuhei, on the other hand, is this game's hard mode. He gains much more experience by buzzing and grazing and very little from defeating enemies. His special is similar to the burst energy gained from leveling up, except it lasts longer and grants him more buzz. In all honesty, Kei is where it's at for me. Despite being decades-long fan of Psyvariar 2, I'm just not good enough to play with Yuhei properly. As you can see, I couldn't even unlock the true ending for this particular playthrough. Now, the PS2 version of Psyvariar 2 adds a few extras, such as a very nice detailed stage select screen, which is used for practicing the stages you've reached. Now here you can set all kinds of different options to best set up your training experiences, from choosing which stage you want to play, to what level you want to be in that particular stage, how full your experience gauge is going to be, and so on. Another training mode the PS2 version offers is the addition of optional missions you can do for fun to further hone your skills. These missions are a good way to understand and get used to the game's mechanics individually. You're going to learn how to use your focused shot while rolling, you're going to be asked to buzz and reach a certain level in buzz, and so on. Now, even though the game is in Japanese, nowadays your mission objectives are easily read by using your translation app on the phone, so it's a non-issue. Psyvariar 2 never stops moving. It doesn't slow the player down with environmental obstacles or tactical gameplay. It's all about the dance, the thrill, the weaving through countless bullets and taking enemies down. Now, the game is pure art in my opinion. It's just such a wonderful shmup that both newcomers and veterans of the genre would enjoy. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. The prices nowadays of both the Dreamcast and PS2 versions are no good. It probably hasn't reached, I don't know, Saturn levels of Batsugan and Battle Garega yet, but the prices are still very high. It's a very expensive game, I believe, and to make things worse, the PS2 version isn't properly emulated yet and hasn't been for years. No one seems to be able to do anything about that. Now, I reported this on the Discord. There is already a report on, I think it's on GitHub or something, and as you can see, the game has a major graphical glitch in the background, completely ruining that special, unique vibe it's supposed to have. If you don't mind the lack of a dedicated roll button, the Dreamcast version emulates perfectly well, and it even runs beautifully on mid-range emulation handhelds. Psyvariar 2 is just such an amazing, unique experience that I believe everyone should play at least a few times. And guys, if you do get around to playing this game, if you've played it, let me know what you think about the game, because this is, in my opinion, one of the greatest shoot 'em ups of all time, and I hope this video helped you discover a new game you will enjoy if you haven't played it already.